So we're back. We're back. So listen, this is what I'm gonna do. I got a caller. I'm gonna take the caller, but I want to go over something right quick. Many times, and I presently am not doing this at my firm. It's employment law. The last person that I had, thank God, I mean, was elevated to be a judge. So, but let me give you some pointers. What is a hostile work environment? Imagine, if you would, that you made a cake. A hostile work environment is what we call the frosting. What do you mean? Without a cake, you don't need the frosting. In order to have an effective claim, you must have discrimination based on race, gender, nationality, ethnicity, pregnancy. If a person, and you can establish, is discriminating against you for that, a toxic work environment is the icing that comes on that. But without having discrimination based on race, gender, ethnicity, pregnancy, you can't have a claim for having a hostile work environment. So the fact that me and Joe, we're going to take his call, we both Black, and he's, just say, my supervisor, and he always says something mean, you always late, you always this, and pick on me. That's not actionable because we're both Black. But if Joe did that and I were white, then I can allege that that was done because of my race. If he says something like, you know, Black people always late, you included, boom, then I can add on hostile work environment, that I'm getting the wrong assignments. The law basically says this: I don't want to get involved with how you run your business. If you've got a difficult boss, that's fine as long as you don't break the law. But providing a hostile work environment, isn't that breaking the law? If you don't have those underlying race, gender, ethnicity, and pregnancy, you don't have a basic. What do? I'm going to tell you what you do. When it begins, you start to keep a journal. You have to keep a journal of who said what, who was there, etc. Then, as you get more information to document, you then will contact the EEOC. Now, that's where it gets slippery, because when you contact the EEOC, they will actually do an investigation. And ultimately, although your identity should be, they're going to say, well, you have an employee and and they're going to, inevitably, you can infer who it is. So why you do that is that they give you a right to sue letter, which is actionable in state and federal court. What you can do is you have 90 days from the time that this pattern is occurring to contact the EEOC to make a claim. So you can't say, well, back in 2015, he did XYZ. That's too late. So it's very technical, but many people will call me and say, my boss is riding me. It's a toxic work environment, but there's no underlying claim of race, gender, ethnicity, religion, and pregnancy, a mixed religion. So if you don't have that as the cake, you can't have the toxic work environment as the frosting. Well, wait a minute. If my boss, who is black, treat his friend better than me, can I sue him? No, because it has to be on race, gender, ethnicity, religion, and pregnancy. What he harassing me is not actionable. Not actionable. It has to be based on those. And then you bring that the toxic work environment. But without that, if we all black, not actionable. We all women, not actionable. In my opinion. In my opinion, let me make sure I say that. So my point being to you is that if you are in a work environment that has one of those things, I'll give you a prime example. If someone were to say, well, why do you need Christmas off? You know what I'm saying? You know, or to talk about, you know, you always reading the Bible, or if you got to go nurse your child, if it's a basis, then you can talk about how they harassing you. But don't nobody want to hear the harassment without the underlying. And so therefore, that's what you do. Now, Vicki said, I have a work-related question. I don't do enough employment law to properly advise you. But this is what in my opinion, I have gleaned from this practice. So many times you can be in a hostile work environment and the law says you don't have damages. You don't even have a basis. Then we didn't even talk about damages because the fact that you just wanted to stop, you have to show that it is called mental, physical anguish, etc. So there is a lot to this because there is a reluctance for the government to get involved in workplace situations. This is a new phenomenon. So unless there is a basis on that, but he harassing me, that's different. Now, if I said race, gender, you wearing them tight pants, oh, you looking good, I like that, then you bring, because then you can allege gender. Okay, so just somebody being a butthole and giving you more work and y'all all equally situated is challenging, but many times it's not illegal. We got a caller. Let's take this caller. Do we still got him?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing today?
Wait a minute. Hold on for a minute. I'm doing well, sir. What's going on? Wait a minute. Hold on for a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on for a minute. I got to hook you up. I'm doing well, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I listened to your conversation.
Yes,
and
sir.
I concur with the conversation. It's just that there's a lot of women out here that mess over men the same way.
Okay.
And I don't know if they included in this conversation. It's some trifling sisters out here. There's some good ones, but there's some trifling sisters out here. And I'm talking about slick. And I'm talking about slick. Because they can be slicker than a man could ever be. When they decide to be slick, he ain't even in the race. He ain't even in the race. A man can never outwit a woman. And that part of the conversation sometimes never surfaces. There's something that really played on the brother. I mean, the brother been rotten, and we have really mistreated women. And that's just what it is.
And what it is that these women, what it is that, and I agree with you, it's like the doctor that was poisoning her husband. She's smiling every day. They even had video where she was making his lemonade. They saw her take out the Drano container, pour it in the lemonade, stir it up, put it back down, and give it to him. So clearly that was a situation where she was hurting him. But my point is this: in all relationships, we do have people who are using that other person. My challenge before me is that many times there are a group of women who are so vulnerable and so fragile that they keep and persist on chasing something that will never be. I think there are women that definitely take advantage of men, but somehow or another, men wake up to it. Now obviously the husband in that situation waited, he wasn't poisoned or killed. But my point being to you is that you can almost tell a real man can tell when a woman being slick. You know what she's trying to do. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But
That's
these
right.
are women who many times they don't look at the warning signs. And when something happens, it's horrific because love is blinding them. See, I know in situations like what you're saying, when a woman trying to play you for a couple dollars, won't you get my hair and nails done? Yeah. We understand that. I'm talking about the situation where I had a woman that when the man came home from prison, she was so happy, had a celebration. As she got laid off from her job, follow this. He then had a place. He told her to make some chicken. She didn't, threw some gasoline on her face and ignited it. Said, you'll listen next time. That's what I'm talking about. We'll be back. Thank you for your call, though, and your comment. It's true.
Thank you.